Democratic congressman from Connecticut with Wall Street experience. It's the 4th Congressional District, Bridgeport, Greenwich, and Stamford as well. Congressman, good morning. If you and I had breakfast at the Hay Adams Hotel today and there were Republicans at the table next to us and we were listening in, how angry would the conversation be from where you sit? How disarray are the Republicans across the aisle?
Look, I'm not sure it would be angry. I think it would be concerned. Concerned, of course, by the fact that the shutdown itself has caused an immense amount of pain to the American people all over the place. Rural areas, urban areas, soldiers, civilians, you name it. And frankly, I think you would also hear the fact that the Republican Party is now held in less esteem by the American public than it has been pretty much at any time in the last 30 years. And these are the forces that are now beginning to shape the debate here and which may point to an exit that looks like something like what you've talked about this morning.
Jim, you're one of the few people that understands the litmus paper of the short-term bond markets in Washington. Very few people get that. How focused are you on what we're observing in 4-week and 1-month paper? It's a big deal to your former Goldman Sachs or to UBS and other banks. Is it a big deal to Washington?
Well, one of the problems we have in this fight is that I actually think most of my colleagues don't appreciate the fact that in a government shutdown, which has happened before, or in a fiscal cliff, the Capitol, the Congress, the majority party controls the outcome. We can go to the floor of the House of Representatives in 5 minutes and fix both of these problems. The problem is, of course, that whether it's the short-term paper market or the VIX or CDS spreads or you name it, we do not control global capital markets. And once global capital markets decide that the United States government has finally and completely flipped its lid, there is no vote that we can take that will fix that quickly.
Congressman, what would you be willing to put on the table to negotiate with Republicans to prevent a U.S. government default and open this government?
Well, let me point out that I was one of the 38 members of Congress which 2 years ago voted for the Simpson-Bowles budget. And that was the one budget that actually drew 22 Democrats and 16 Republicans. That's not a big number, but it's the one budget that drew bipartisan support. I've always stood by a deal like that and will continue to do so. But what I will not countenance and what the president won't countenance and frankly what nobody should countenance is the idea that we're going to run this country for the rest of our country's history where the negotiations happen not through regular order, through negotiation in committee and through fights inside the building, but our policy is made because whichever party, and it could be the Democrats, it's the Republicans this time, decide we're going to achieve our policy goals by going to the president and saying we will tank the economy unless you do A, B, C, D. So that's got to be off the table, not just for the Democrats, but for the future of this country.
Jim Himes, one more question before you begin your day. What do you need to see from the Senate today?
Well, look, what we really need to see today has nothing to do with the United States Senate. It has everything to do with the one individual who, could have ended this 10 days ago, which is John Boehner. And look, I'm glad that he and his lieutenants are going by themselves to the White House. I know that's not the White House line, but having fewer people in the room right now is good because they need to ultimately agree to a short-term negotiating period after this thing.
All right, Jim Himes, we have to leave it there. The Democratic congressman from Connecticut, Bloomberg Surveillance from Washington. We'll be back.